Hey everyone, Danny from Pocket Admin. As promised, a video about the interview part of your job seeking process and just a few tips and whatnot to help find success. So, I am referring to notes. I'm actually referring to my job seeking ebook, which is a guide that takes you from beginning to end, with just tips and whatnot for writing your own resume, selection criteria, cover letter, the interview, all that kind of thing. So the main thing with your interview is to be prepared. So that's not just ironing your shirt, washing your hair or whatever. It is researching the company that you're applying to, because they want to know that you care enough that you know who they are, what they do, their culture, that sort of thing. So researching is incredibly important. You need to read through your resume and your selection criteria or cover letter that you submitted, so that there aren't any surprising questions, like know what you've submitted, because they're going to want you to expand on it. Because the process basically is that your resume is a summary, your cover letter that goes with it is a slight expansion on that, on the main points. Your selection criteria is a much larger expansion, and then your interview is where they delve deeper. So they ask more specific questions and that kind of thing. Practice beforehand. So practicing, go on Google and find common interview questions and that kind of thing, and just get someone to ask you the questions. Or if you've got no one, that's fine. Just sit there, read what the common questions are, and think what your answer would be. Think about the achievements that you've done, because they may well ask you, they quite often will, or their questions will kind of allude to it a bit. So just think about what you've achieved, and it's, yes, it is mostly to do with the job you're applying for, so what is relevant. But if there are things that are not necessarily directly relevant, but you feel like they might make a difference, then really, there's just talk about it. So that might be, that you feel that you've achieved, okay, well, I felt like I achieved something by completing a Bachelor of Journalism. Now, I've never worked as a journalist, but that degree has done a lot for me in my work over the years, in my current business and that kind of thing. So it is relevant, because it, for any job that I apply for, it's been relevant, because it's proof that I am willing to study. It's proof that I stick with something and finish it. That I'm willing to do the hard yards, basically. And you never know when any of your qualifications might be relevant. So just think hard about your achievements and how they relate to the job you're applying for. So getting ready then, once you've done all that prep work, do that, in the week before, or that kind of thing. The night before, make sure your interview pack's ready. So do take a copy of your resume. Do take a copy of certificates, just in case. They may not ask you for the certificates then and there, but be prepared just in case. It depends on the employer as to what they do. So make sure, obviously, that you're clean and tidy. So have a nice shower. Groom your beard, men. Like, if you're not going to go clean shaven, then try to unscruff a little bit. So buy some of that beard oil and just give it a bit of a brush and just tidy it up. Trim, whatever. I'm not exactly a beard aficionado, but whatever you got to do to just tidy it up a little bit. So whatever routines it takes to give you a bit of confidence, to make you feel good, to make you look good. Iron your clothes, clean your shoes. That's something that's often forgotten. People just shove their feet into shoes on the way out the door, but God, please make sure they're clean. And honestly, one of the other important prep things is to have chill out time. So much like when you do an exam, don't cram, and get a good sleep. So the interview itself, be punctual, obviously. So try and get there 15 minutes to 30 minutes before the interview. It might be nerve-wracking sitting there waiting, but it makes a really good impression. And the good impressions really matter. So when you meet people, even if it's the, not that I should say even if, because I've been an admin and I think, we deserve as much respect as anyone, but even if it is the receptionist or whatever, smile, greet them, eye contact, that kind of thing, make a really good impression, okay? And then especially of the, the interview panel. Shake their hand, unless there's COVID issues. I'm not quite sure the protocol there, to be honest, but shake hands, smile, eye contact, greet them, because that first impression really matters. If you just walk in there sort of slouchy and plop into a chair, that's not really making a very good impression. So you need to go in there, even if you are absolutely at the point of throwing up from anxiety, you've got to give that look of confidence. They're going to know that you're a bit nervous. They're going to understand, but you just need to try and give as much confidence as you can. You've got to remember, you're applying for this job because you know you can do it. It's just a matter of proving it to them and proving that you are the right person for their team. That if you are applying for a job that you are ready for, then that shouldn't be hard. That's why you got to prep and really think. So your interview is your verbal selection criteria, basically. So they're going to have set questions that they're going to ask you. They're going to ask for specifics. They're going to ask you to demonstrate things. So whether it's they give you a scenario or whether they ask for a specific moment in your past jobs in your career where you've done something. So that's also what you need to think about beforehand. If they ask you to tell you about yourself, tell them about yourself, that's actually a very common question. And funnily enough, it's one of the ones that can really make you go, they're not asking about your entire family, how you spent Christmas, what foods you like, all that sort of thing. I mean, it's okay to say, married, mum of 3, but you can sort of lead with that, but then they're asking you to give a really good summary, an overview of professionally who you are. All right. If you get stuck with any of their questions, don't panic. Right, there's ways to deal with it. Like I said, they're going to expect that you're nervous, okay? Unless you're going for like some sort of high power management role where they expect you to be really cool, calm and collected, they're going to understand. They know. And quite often they're just as nervous sitting there having to ask you questions. Not everyone's comfortable interviewing. So take your time. It's okay to say that, to have a drink of water. Like, have a sip of water while you think. It's okay to say, okay, that's a good question. And just while you turn it over in your head. So I guess it's a stalling tactic of sorts, but yeah, you can do that. But don't stress yourself over it. Just answer as best as you can. So they always will ask at the end, do you have any questions for us? So yes, the answer should always be yes. Never ever say, nah, I think I'm good. I think you've answered everything. So always, no matter how small, ask questions. So good ones to ask are what sort of professional development opportunities that are available in the company, because then that's going to show that you're not only keen to work there, but you're keen to be there for the long haul. You're keen to improve your skills and that kind of thing. You can even ask them, when do you plan to get in contact with people? Ask questions about the company. So obviously, you want to show that you've done your research, but there might be certain things that the research didn't reveal or that you're curious about, that sort of thing. So ask them questions about the company, show an interest. It's no different to going on a date. You've got to show interest in the other person, otherwise they're going to walk away. So when the interview's over, you smile and you shake their hand and you thank them for the opportunity and tell them it was a pleasure to meet them, no matter what the outcome. That's usually how I finish up. I thank them and I say, no matter what's the outcome, it was a pleasure meeting them. and then you can go outside and do a little victory dance and breathe, because I know that you probably half the time you're in there were just about hyperventilating if you're anything like me. So afterwards, de-stress. Go and get yourself a bite to eat and breathe and whatever. If they don't get back to you by the time that they said they probably would, just give them a call, okay? I know that it feels, I was always hesitant, and I know that it feels like you're kind of harassing them. But a call, if they, the day after they were supposed to get back to you, just shows that you are still interested in the job, and then it allays your fears if they say, oh, they still haven't made a decision, or they still are doing a few interviews, or whatever that is. So the final point is rejection. Now, it is the hardest part, but at the same time, it's not a loss, okay? Yeah, you've not gotten the job that you perhaps really, really wanted to get, but you've come away with more interview experience, a better knowledge of the kind of questions that a company will ask you, that will make you, all that sort of stuff. That experience is going to help you grow and make you better at your next interview. So each interview you will improve. So never ever look at rejection as a real loss or in a really negative light, okay? One of the best things you can do is contact them if you've been rejected and just ask for some feedback, okay? I've never encountered an employer that's not happy to provide feedback. Quite often you might find that someone just had that little bit more experience than you or something like that. Usually it's nothing really bad. But it is a really good way to find out what sort of things you can improve and work on for your next interview. So that's about it. Really, the main advice is to go into that interview being yourself. I mean, not a grub or, slouching around, but be yourself, tell them exactly why you're there. Don't tell lies. Don't try and build yourself up to be something that you're not, because it's going to make it 10 million times harder, okay? So, I had someone recently that said to me that they really wanted a job because, a particular job, because they wanted to be able to drive around with their kids or their grandkids and see what they've created and be able to say, I did that, I made that. I'm really, something that I'm proud of and I want to share with my kids. And I said, then you tell them that, because you need to show your passion, all right? So to anyone going into interviews, good luck. If you need any more advice, you can comment below or just create a new thread on the group, and Tricia and myself will respond as quick as we can. You can also get in contact with me if you want to spend some one-on-one time working on interview stuff, working on any aspect of your job seeking. And you can also contact me if you'd like to purchase my ebook. Not that I'm doing this as a sales pitch, but it is a really handy tool, so it is there if it is something that you want. So thank you for listening to me talk for a fair bit. There is a bit of stuff to remember with interviews, but mainly it's just chill out and just roll with it. I hope you all have an awesome week. See you later.